Episode 8. Welcome back to Birds vs. Boys, everyone. This is the first edition of 2 shows per week. So this is your Thursday edition. We are done looking back. The airing of the grievances is over. If you have not listened to episode 7 of us screaming our absolute heads off about the Eagles and Cowboys, it is a must listen. But now we are on to week 2. You got me, KMess, as always, and I am joined with the one and only Aidan Powers.
Well, last episode, I think that was cathartic. I think people could relate to the frustration, and
Very
it's
much.
time to do what we do in sports all the time. Just come back down to earth and blindly support our teams after all that. So here we are.
Bill Belichick. We are on to the Rams and on to the Falcons.
That's how it has to be.
Has to. I mean, I can't scream anymore. Your voice was done on Tuesday night. I think we went on for 4 hours and 27 minutes. I'm done. It's out. It's all gone.
It felt that way, but you had to let it all out. That was like a therapy session of sorts, where just with a microphone instead of you in front of you instead of a therapist. And then you just we watched Monday Night Football. We started tinkering with fantasy lineups, and all of a sudden you're like, okay, I'm back. I'm back. We're 0-1.
And even though our teams both had somewhat of heartbreaking losses, the upside is, I mean, it's another week and COVID's not really a story in the NFL. So thank goodness that is not the basis of what we have to talk about.
No, so let's get into around the NFL. And it's like you said, it's great that we are talking about a great NFL product on Sunday and Monday, where people were worried, one, because of the COVID thing, that it could spread, and then two, that the quality of play would be terrible just because we haven't seen these guys play actual football in months. But it looked good, but not without some drama.
Mm-hmm.
Some players, it took 1 week and they're like, all right, I'm done. I'm not playing for this team anymore.
I want a new contract and I want to go play anywhere but here.
Anywhere but here. So I think that the two main ones were Odell Beckham Jr., who seems to be in a trade rumor every week.
All the time.
This one with him, the Cleveland thing, it never made sense. The trade never made sense. He never seemed like a fit in Cleveland. And here we are again with another trade rumor. And then Allen Robinson, 1 week with Mitchell Trubisky, even in a win, he was like, I'm done with this.
I'm done. I'm out
of here.
I'm not going to make money here because I can't catch the ball. I mean, are you surprised at all that the two biggest trade rumors are wide receivers? Because I'm not at all.
No, not at all. And looking at their teams, the culture around those teams, the winning percentage of those teams in recent years, and the quarterback play of those teams. So none of that surprises me that receivers would want out of that situation, especially Allen Robinson, who, like you mentioned, his line of thinking is, how am I going to get paid with Mitchell Trubisky throwing me a football?
He's not. Simple as that. He's not. And on top of it being not surprised that they're wide receivers, I'm even less surprised that both of them are linked to the Philadelphia Eagles. Like every football player ever to ever play football.
It's just another year with another trade rumor, and the analogy we used was a shiny new toy, and here we are again, and there's another shiny new toy, and all right, I'm in. Let's do it. Let's bring them to Philly.
I mean, all right, so right now, both could be rumored to Philly, but give me the one you'd rather have. Let's say same deal. You could get either of them.
I'd go Allen Robinson. I don't have any problem with Odell Beckham. Yeah, I mean, he hasn't really had any positive headlines lately, for better or for worse, on or off the field.
He's had some poopy headlines.
Yeah, but I think Allen Robinson is eerily similar to the Alshon Jeffrey trade that we made. Mm-hmm. Big physical receiver from Chicago. He won it out. Ironically, the only thing holding back the Eagles from getting the likes of an Allen Robinson is the Alshon contract and extending him and guaranteeing his money beyond 2020. So I think he'd be the more likely trade option between the two, even though neither of them are likely at all.
No, I mean, even like you've said before, beyond this year, the Eagles kind of go into cap hell. So how are you even going to be able to keep an Allen Robinson? I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, like that with every big name that comes out, we do the same thing. Like we're in this endless cycle of we want this player. Can we afford this player? No. Damn, that sucks. This player is available. Do we want this
Maybe.
player? Yes. Can we afford him? No. Damn, that sucks. Like we're just in this constant cycle. We can't get out of it. We
It's
got to eventually we got to start swimming sideways. You know, when you have a riptide, don't swim with it, swim out of it. Guys, we got to swim out of it. Why don't we just draft somebody who's good for once?
It's Dallas fans are kind of the same way. I mean, there's no way Dallas is making a move for either of these wide receivers when you look at their wide receiver core, obviously. But I still scroll through Instagram and there's a gazillion different Cowboys, We Dem Boys accounts, and they do these stupid things where they have players that aren't on the Cowboys in like I've seen 147,000 Earl Thomas pictures photoshopped of him as a Cowboy, but now I'm seeing it with Odell Beckham. Like, what do you think if Odell had come to Dallas instead of Amari? And then it's just like Odell as a Cowboy. I'm like, why are we even, why?
Yeah, it's like it'll always be the caption will always be, "Would you do this trade?" And it'll be like a Photoshop picture of Odell Beckham in a Cowboys jersey, and then it'll be like I don't know, like some player who's like half his worth. They'd be like for like Jalen Smith, and it's like no, because this is Instagram, and it has never happened like that in real life. Which makes it even more mind blowing that Mike Tannenbaum was like, "Would you do Zach Ertz for Zach Martin?" Like, no, this isn't Madden. How did you run an actual NFL team?
Oh, he didn't. He ran them into the ground.
He ran them into the ground. Yeah, he ran them, but he didn't actually run them in a positive direction.
I mean, so now Allen Robinson, I think. So the first thing that came out was he deleted all his Bear stuff on his Instagram. Again, goes back to Instagram. Of course, everything does.
Which can I harp on that for 1 second?
Absolutely.
I actually have a pet peeve about that because Giannis just did it to go into a totally different sport. But he like unfollowed everybody on Instagram, including his Milwaukee Bucks teammates. Are we 12?
Yes.
I don't understand why this is the way that NBA and NFL players and even MLB players act. Like you lose one series or have one bad game and you throw a temper tantrum and unfollow your teammates. They're like, what are you going to do?
What does that even do?
I don't know.
It's like, and then you think like, are these organizations that like childish where they're like, oh, Giannis, oh, Allen Robinson, he's not following Mitchell anymore on Instagram. We better make him happy.
Yeah, do you think the Knicks are like they saw Giannis unfollow all his teammates on Instagram? Like, now's our chance.
Yeah,
we have a chance. 2021.
Did you see? I see like an intern running into the president's office, and be like, Giannis, everybody's gone. Everyone's gone. Make the call.
So some guy in the Miami Dolphins like front office who fetches the coffee like while he was out at Starbucks getting Brian Flores his coffee. He's like, "Did you see it, Coach? Allen Robinson doesn't want to be on the Bears anymore. Maybe we have a chance."
And now that kid's in a scout.
Now, yeah, he'll be a GM in 5 years, and then in 10 years he'll be like, "Would you do Pat Mahomes Jr. for like some made up player for Kyler Murray,
for a 7th round offensive guard?"
Yeah.
Oh God, it's just I don't think we're going to see either of these guys move this year.
No, that week 1 is my favorite overreaction period for so many reasons. We'll get into some of the teams and it'll be showcased in my lock of the week. Mm-hmm. But week 1 is such an overreaction period. Not that we can talk after just going on an endless rant.
We overreacted. I think our reactions were spot on.
I think mine was fair. That maybe a little harsh on Zach Ertz, but aside from that, it was pretty fair.
Did you kiss and make up with Zach?
He's on my phone case. I didn't take him off the phone case.
There you go. Then you're fine.
There you go. I didn't unfollow him. I didn't take him off the phone case. If he comes off the phone case, that's how you know I am mad.
I am now officially going to stalk your Instagram.
Right. That's the NFL version. You know those like marriage counsel things where they have a feeling stick and you can only talk if you have the stick. You can only talk if you follow your teammates on Twitter.
If you don't, you're out.
You're out. Can't do it.
All right. So we didn't get to talk the Monday night games, obviously, because when we recorded our last episode. So
let's get
into Monday night games and let's get into them.
So first game, Steelers-Giants. I'll put up the question for you. Mm-hmm. Are the Steelers back in the Steelers way, or is it more so the Giants are back in the Giants way?
First, I'm going to say this was my lock of the week, Steelers -6 on Birds vs. Boys, as well as branded radio on 1490 Sports Betting Radio, where Aidan Powers will be my co-host this Saturday. So make sure you listen. We'll give you all the details later.
Basically, you're getting 3 episodes of Birds vs. Boys this week.
How
2 actual episodes
about
and
that?
radio show. How about that?
No cursing. So it is a great question. I think I picked the Steelers on the radio show to win the division. Here I picked the Ravens, so I'm a little flippy floppy. But I do think either way that the Steelers are making the playoffs. I do think the Steelers are back. I just don't know if they're back through that game. I mean, in the beginning, they looked a little pedestrian, but kind of expect that. It was Big Ben's first time playing in a year, basically, off the injury. I think that defense is legit. TJ Watt is just an animal. Stephon Tuitt, I think, is one of the most underrated defensive tackles in the entire league. And I mean, Daniel Jones, I mean, they got that muff punt at the 2-yard line. They ended up getting a field goal. He throws another interception in the end zone. I mean, the Giants. I think their defense could be the worst in the league. So it's very hard for me to say that Steelers are fully back from that game because the Giants were so bad and Saquon Barkley ran for 6 yards. So I'm kind of right in the middle. I hate to say that, but I think it was kind of a little bit of both.
Great. Way to take a leap on that one. Here, I'll take the leap. I legitimately think that the Steelers are back.
Good.
We said it on our previous show. They were just adequate quarterback play away from being a playoff team. That's how good their defense is. And they seem to have it with Big Ben back. They have a great wide receiver core. Juju Smith-Schuster, who was hurt as well last year, got overlooked because Ben was hurt, but he was hurt as well. He missed some time. So you have him, Deontay Johnson, who's like a hot fantasy sleeper guy this year, and James Washington as well. So it's they have quite the trio of firepower, as long as looking like even with the James Conner injury, it looks like they're going to be all right in the backfield. I think they're back, and I get your point. I get why you're in the middle because we talked about it. The Giants are just a movie with a dog. You know how it's going to end. That offensive line is going to get Daniel Jones killed. Saquon, as great as he is, he can make people miss in a phone booth. And even then, the Giants' offensive line is screwing it up for him. So I get where you're at being in the middle, but I'm going in. I think Steelers are all the way back. Gold standard of the league, baby.
I loved how much fun it looked like Juju was having the other night. He, again, talk about underrated, not even on the field, but off the field. I mean, he is apparently one of the best people in the entire league.
And I know part of my take brought it up. That's like their thing. And Vince is showing us right now. Ben Roethlisberger says he felt like he was in a car accident after the game. He is just the most overdramatic person of all time.
Yeah, always.
He won't even. He says that, and he won't even appear on the injury report this week. And they have a home game, and I'll check who they play again. But
that video when he was getting his stitches out of his elbow, and he's like, ah!
Yeah, they were showing that on the. On Monday Night Football, and just some highlights of his documentary.
And of course there was a documentary.
Of course there was, showing him getting his stitches out. But it was just like the most Big Ben thing ever. But I do, aside from the antics, I think he's an underrated quarterback. Steelers are very much back.
Love it. How about the second game? So obviously it started at 10-10. You had the ultimate bet going on with CEO Joe. I will say that my favorite part of that game was laying in my bed with the windows open. It was about 58 degrees and just nodding in and out of that game. There's nothing better than being in your bed on a Monday night with the windows open, it's nice and cool, and just falling in and out of sleep to a meaningless Monday Night Football game.
That was the most football is back game of the week by far, because the Steven Gostkowski missed 3 field goals and an extra point.
And then hit the game winner.
And then I said that too. I said, look, this is going to be a game. I texted the group chat. I said, this is going to be a game where the kicker misses like 4 field goals or 5 field goals. And then at the end of the game, he redeems himself, quote unquote, by making like some chip shot 22-yard field goal. And it ended up being 25, but that's exactly what happened. So, but it was just one of those games where it was such a football is back game because you were watching it despite it being a terrible product. It was 12 midnight on the East Coast. You're up there, and it's like, it has the Titans and Broncos. I can't think of 2 teams that influence us less here on the East Coast. And we're up watching it just because football. It's just football. So we were watching it. and we sacrificed our full 8 hours of sleep just to watch a 16-14 Titans-Broncos game with no one in the crowd.
Both my fantasy games were already locked. I won both, but I had Noah Fant and AJ Brown so I was like, I got to watch too. I got to add that on top of it because now it's fantasy football.
That's the other thing. It was another fantasy is back as well. I was like, I should be asleep right now, but the reason that I'm not is because I'm playing against Derrick Henry, and Mike Vrabel and the Titans were doing everything possible to make sure that I lost because he touched the ball 34 times. And I'm like, I just want to go to sleep.
I just want
I'm
this
so
to end.
tired.
I'll close my eyes.
I just want to close my eyes and get 7.5 hours at most. Please.
How about Mike
Vrabel? Such a fantasy is back game as well.
Speaking of Mike Vrabel too, Sean McVay literally got a slap on the wrist from the NFL after the Sunday night game of not having his mask on, and they sent a memo to everyone being like, "Need to wear your mask at all times." And every time they showed Mike Vrabel, it was just the mask was just he was just like, "Fuck you and your masks." I'm Mike Vrabel. I don't care.
Anyone who says they'll cut their dick off if they win the Super Bowl does not care about a mask. It does not care about COVID.
That was about the only time he wore his mask.
Yeah, the only time he wore his mask was getting on the plane when he said, give Derrick Henry the ball on the mask. So I should have known playing against Derrick Henry that I was in for a long night of suspense and anxiety because they did, in fact, give it to him 34 times.
It was and my wife, too, is speaking. She was like, I was like, all right. The Steelers game was over, and then I was like, all right, I'm going to watch the other game. She's like, what other game? I'm like, there's 2 Monday night games on. She's like, what the shit is this? I go, it's always happens every first week because it's football.
Yeah, I loved it. Let's never do it again.
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. All right, well, to conclude our wrap-up of week 1, tons of injuries, right? I mean, Michael Thomas now, high ankle sprain. Philip Lindsay from that game has turf toe. Don't know how long he's out. Drew Tranquil, unfortunately, it looked like his career may be over with that injury. The linebacker for the Chargers, Marlon Mack, Achilles done for the year. James Conner, don't know how long he's out. And we talked about all the injuries within our teams. So, I mean, it's what happens in football, and it sucks to see it in week 1.
We kind of saw it coming just because they haven't played football, and most of them over 6 months, 7 months, depending on when you were knocked out of the playoffs, 8 months. But I'm going to say something very inconsiderate. I got to focus on my own injury situation.
That is very true.
We were prepping for the show, and I was trying to run down and do research on all these injuries. I'm like, there's only so many injuries that I can focus on.
Yes.
These guys, God bless them. I hope they get healthy. I got to worry about my own injury report just so we have a chance this week. So
damn right.
I hope they get healthy, but I got to focus on my own first.
And to focus on those, before we get to Birds versus Boys, let's move on to this week. Locks of the week.
Yep.
Then we're going to do a little bit of our power rankings, and then we're going to quickly get into Birds and Boys. We're going to run through this quickly for you people. So, the locks of the week, which are brought to you by Bovada.
All right. So, I have 2 locks.
I do as well. I do.
Perfect. Who wants to go first? We'll do one each and then rotate.
I'll go first if you want.
Okay.
So I don't know how I'm doing this, but I'm doing it. I'm going Vikings again.
Why can't you quit this? I'm your friend, and I'm just sick of seeing you do this. We're gonna end up on that A&E show where I'm talking to you about your addiction instead of it being heroin. It's gonna be Kirk Cousins. Why are you doing this?
I don't know. The Colts were one of my favorite picks this season, and then I saw them lose to Jacksonville. I saw the line is only 3 for the Colts. They're both 0-1, and I just feel like the Vikings have a lot more to win in this game. Their division is going to be harder for them to win because the Packers look damn good. And I could see them winning this outright or losing the game by less than 3 points.
It's at Indianapolis, correct?
Yes.
Why are you doing this to yourself?
Just watch.
Okay. If you say so. I can't believe that we've had multiple conversations in which you've been on the same side as Kirk Cousins. I'm just going to get into my pick, and next week I'll try to talk you off the Kirk Cousins ledge.
Okay.
All right. So my first pick, I have Cardinals -6.5. This might be out of spite, versus Washington football team. So I loved what I saw from the Cardinals on Sunday. Big upset over the 49ers. Kyler Murray looks like he took that next step. He is so funny because you can tell he played baseball. The way he slides is so perfect. He could just teach a class. I remember Mike Vick didn't know how to slide. He could have learned from Kyler Murray. What I loved, so could Carson. What I loved was that they are destined. They are adamant that they are getting their return on their investment on DeAndre Hopkins. They gave up draft capital. They gave up money. They gave him a new deal.
And now they're giving the ball.
Him. First game out of the blocks, he has a career high in receptions. I think that offense has a lot of firepower. What they do very well is get the ball out quickly, which is good against the Washington pass rush. And let's just call it how it is. And I know this is a little bit out of spite. Washington's not good. No. Washington is not good. That was more so about the Eagles being a train wreck. Like I said, ferocious pass rush from Washington. We didn't not once see Dwayne Haskins have to go the length of the field and score. I don't think that they can do it. It's going to be on the opposite coast this time. Going to be first home game for the Cardinals. I have them winning by more than a touchdown. I think they could win that game by double digits, to be honest.
I love that pick. I really do. I've said to one of my best friends who is a Cowboys fan, if Dallas goes 0-2, the Cardinals are my new team. Go Cardinals, and this show will be called Birds vs. Birds.
Birds vs. Birds. I love that.
We're changing it up.
Birds vs. Birds.
All right. So my second pick, Lions at Packers. Packers are -6. I am going with the Packers. I think the Lions are just a terrible team. That was a heartbreaking loss. They lost. They were up. You were up by 17. They were up by 17 in the fourth and lost. Rookie drops the ball, could have won the game, but Aaron Rodgers is looking like old school Aaron Rodgers. He says this is the first time his elbow hasn't hurt in a camp in 10 years. He feels fresh. I think me picking the Vikings to win that division was the worst decision I've made in a long time, and I think the Packers are going to be the real deal this year. So Packers -6 against the Lions in Green Bay.
I agree with that, and I was actually thinking of the Lions the other day. They cut to the Lions game after the Eagles game, and just in time for the game winner that was dropped. And it reminded me of that YouTube video about Cleveland where they show off all the bad stuff about Cleveland, and then they're like, "At least we're not Detroit." Like I watched Carson Wentz get sacked 8 times. We blew a 17-point lead, and at the end, I'm like, "Well, at least we're not Detroit."
See?
So I was thinking about them the other day. So I like that pick. What's that?
Glass half full.
Glass half full. There you go. Silver lining everywhere.
Boom.
So my next pick is 49ers -7 versus the Jets. I will tip my cap to you. You have put this out into the Twitter sphere. Is there any team that looks more ill-prepared week in and week out than the New York Jets?
No.
49ers can't go 0-2, and I doubt they do. And I know a lot of times teams coming from the West Coast to the East Coast struggle, but when you're playing a JV team like the Jets, I don't see them struggling at all. They got upset at home by the Cardinals, and I know the 49ers have some injury issues, especially on offense. We'll see with George Kittle and Deebo Samuels on IR. But the Jets are the Jets, and Adam Gase, how he's still a coach in the NFL is baffling. It is mind-numbing. There's no reason for that guy to be a coach. They are the easiest lock for 0-2. And another game, just like the Cardinals game, where I can see the 49ers winning by double digits, and it won't even be close.
When you're a Jet all the way. They also put Lev Bell on the IR now, so he won't be there. Adam Gase is my pick to be the first coach fired in season this year.
It should be now. It should be week 2. Like if they come out and if the 49ers come out and win 34-3, he should be fired. Don't waste your time.
Nope.
You know, maybe you have another coach on the coaching staff who can do this job. You might as well have.
Why waste the time?
Exactly. Why waste it? After week 17, he's going to be gone, so you might as well do it now. Why waste your time?
But they probably won't because they're probably the top 3 worst run franchise. I think their owner is over in Ireland. He's like the ambassador to America in Dublin to Trump. So, I mean, he has no idea what's going on.
Nope. Wait till 3 months from now when the season ends. He's like, all right, now we got to fire the coach. We're like, coach, what do we did that 3 months ago? What? Where was I?
Woody's stuck in Dublin. He can't even get back to America.
He can't even get back here. So. Yeah. I think if you're a billionaire, though, like you don't have rules for society, so you probably come back and forth.
You can go wherever you want.
Pretty much. All right, so those are my picks.
Love them.
I know that the opponents aren't strong, but I just think the spreads there. I think they can cover pretty easily, even though they're sizable.
Agreed. I like them. I think we got 4 winners.
I think so too.
All right. Before we get into birds versus boys, let's go through our quick power rankings. So after week 1, we'll update this each week on the Thursday show. Our top 5 teams that we each have in the league. We're going to start by 1. So I think we both agree with 1, correct?
Ready? 3, 2, 1. Chiefs.
Chiefs. Not even going to say anything next.
All right, boom, done. All right. Also, let's just do that. So the top 3 teams, which are actually turned into our top 5 teams, will start at 1. Usually you start at 5 and go down, but it's so obvious that it's the Chiefs. Why waste everyone's time? The Chiefs are number 1. Let's get into number 2.
Love it. So you're number 2.
I think I might have a different one than you. I have the Seahawks.
Love it.
And who do you have? Do you have the Seahawks?
I have the Ravens.
Ooh, all right. Give me your case for the Ravens over the Seahawks. I mean, you probably have a better case than me. Mine might be the iffy one.
I mean, I just feel like, again, this is a team that, even though they are who they are and they did what they did last year and they have Lamar Jackson and they draft better than anybody, they still, I feel like, are underrated. People still like question, like, is Lamar still that good? He can't do it again, right? They're not, but they just keep doing it. So I'm going to stop questioning it, and I'm just going to say the Ravens are the second best team in football.
Right? Yeah, yeah. It's 2028. California was set ablaze and drifted off into the Pacific Ocean 4 years ago. President Ivanka Trump is in relations with China for economy talks.
Yep,
because we're in a space war with Russia. And the preseason talk among talking heads online is Lamar Jackson an elite quarterback? Like, yeah, or how long are we going to do this?
Or is he a wide receiver?
Or is he a wide receiver? Yeah. Is he just a wildcat gimmick guy, or maybe could he make it in the league after winning 6 straight MVPs?
And he's won 4 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
Like, stop. So I'm stopping.
There you go. Yeah. Mine is number 2 just for the sole purpose. Let's focus on the quarterbacks here as well. Russell Wilson, let Russ cook. They're letting him throw the ball more. He responded by completing his first 14 passes. He threw for 4 touchdowns. It went pretty well. Mm-hmm. So I just think this change in mentality where Pete Carroll had to realize, hey, it's not 2002 or it's not 2004 where I have Lendell White and Reggie Bush in the backfield. Let's let our MVP quarterback get this done. So that's why they're my number 2. I think that change in mentality is going to take them over the hump.
Mr. Unlimited. So my number 3 is the Seahawks. So they're right there. Basically, I could flip-flop them with the Ravens, but for everything, the same reasons you said.
And my number 3 was the Ravens. So I've said my piece on Lamar. So let's go race just straight to 4.
4, I'm going Packers. Like I said before, I think Aaron Rodgers is a bad man again, and this team's going to be legit.
My take earlier should be foreshadowing. I have the Steelers at 4.
All right. Love it.
I legitimately think that they have the best defense in the National Football League right now, especially with all the injuries that the 49ers have. Big Ben is back. It's a chemistry thing with the young wide receivers, but I think they're going to end up having it. I think they're really talented out there. They are the gold standard to me in the NFL. I know we have some Patriots fans that branded, shut up. You're not the gold standard. The Steelers are, and I have them at 4. I think they're being really good.
Love it. All right. And 5, I was going to put the Steelers there. I'm very close, but I'm being stubborn. I'm keeping the Saints there for me. I know Michael Thomas is hurt. Drew Brees is kind of scaring me. Next week, if the Saints lose and if the Bucs are 0-2, I want to have a discussion with you. Are we worried about Tom Brady and Drew Brees? But right now, I am keeping the Saints at 5 for me.
I would keep the Saints at 5. You know that they spent the money on Emmanuel Sanders for a reason. They have Jared Cook for a reason. They spent the money on Kamara for a reason.
Yep.
They have enough offensive firepower to sustain multiple weeks without Michael Thomas. I think they are in a trap game. The Las Vegas Raiders, new stadium, new city. They have a double dose, new stadium, and they went to a whole new city, and that city is Las Vegas. So this is like double, triple
energy. And it's Monday Night Football. It's John Gruden's old night.
And it's Monday Night Football, prime time. I don't care if there's not fans there. My theory, like, who is Pepe Sylvia? Like, I am all about the new stadium energy. That is my conspiracy theory. It gives you a boost. It's like playing with the sliders in the Madden games.
If Monday Night Football wants to do it right, you put John Gruden in the booth for that game, and he's just coaching the game in the middle of the 2 commentators.
You know how in the national championship they have like
Yes.
ESPN, and then ESPN2 it's the coach's corner, and then
Yes.
on ESPNU it's the All Access, and then on ESPN the Ocho it's like
There's
Vince
8 people
Vaughn
talking. Yeah, yeah,
doing
talking about
dodgeball, but still,
Yep.
yeah, that's what they should do is just have like John Gruden have a mic'd up the entire time.
Would love it.
So they're in a trap game, but I agree with them at 5.
Okay. So we're pretty even here. I think, we'll update these as we go. But we promise to keep these episodes between 30 and 45 minutes. We are 32 minutes in, and we haven't gotten to Birds versus Boys yet. So we're going to jump into the Birds and the Boys right now. So, more likely to start 0-2. I'm going to let you start your case.
The Cowboys are more likely to start 0-2. I think you were the one who were going off on the secondary on Monday when we recorded. Okay, well now Calvin Ridley and Julio Jones are coming to town. Hayden Hurst. This is a team, they were forced into throwing the ball 54 times for 500 yards, but they still could do it. So here you are. You're worried about the secondary, and you have a team coming in with elite wide receiver core and just threw for 500 yards. And Matt Ryan's no slouch. He's underrated at this point. So what do you do?
So I'm going to agree that the Cowboys are more likely to start 0-2.
I did not think that you would agree. I'm surprised by that.
This Rams coming to Philly, the Eagles just blew a 17-point lead. Everybody in the entire freaking world is talking about how Aaron Donald is just going to wreck this Eagles O-line. All this is saying to me is the Eagles are going to win that game, and that offensive line's going to give up 1 sack. It's compounding. I don't want to buy into it. I see
you're just trying to jinx it.
No. Because I can see it in the air. I've seen this movie before. Everything lines up against the Eagles, right? Everything except that it's home. So that means they're going to win. That's just what the Eagles do.
I don't like how confident I am. I have no reason to be confident. That game was the biggest disaster of the Doug Peterson, Carson Wentz era. So I have no reason to be confident. And yet here I am, confident. Like we said before, my whole issue with the Eagles is it always comes down to the injury report. What does the injury report look like? Because that determines if we have a chance on Sunday or not. But the injury report actually looked pretty good today with a lot of guys coming back. Miles Sanders full, Lane Johnson full, Derek Barnett full practice, Javon Hargrave practice for the first time.
Until Saturday.
Brandon Graham to come back and clear concussion protocol. So it's actually looking like it's going our way. But, we still have 3 days, and then during the game, we'll have 6 more soft tissue injuries. We'll have cramping and, I don't know, menstrual cycle. I don't know what's going on. Something will happen.
Now, I said more likely to go 0-2. But I think both of these teams will be 1-1 after this weekend.
Okay.
Blake Jarwin's out for the year for the Cowboys. Sean Lee now. Can we call him Coach Sean Lee now? It's Sean. It's over. Sports hernia surgery now, and they're saying he's going to be. There's no chance he's back in 6 weeks.
Can he just go coach a high school team in Texas at this point? Because that's why? Or Western PA? Can you just see him? It's over, man.
Everything everybody says about him is he's one of the smartest minds in the NFL. Yeah. The mind's not broken. Everything else is.
It's gonna be.
Use what you have.
Concussion problems. Why doesn't he just quit right now and go be some coach and win 6 state titles at some Class AAA Western PA team?
Or I guarantee he could have been the linebackers coach for this Dallas Cowboys team this year. Jerry would have said, "Mike, Sean's your linebacker coach," and Mike would have said, "Okay." But I feel like these guys sometimes they can't make the decision on their own. Guys like Sean Lee, they need other people to make the decision. So they need Jerry Jones to be like, "Yo, it's over."
I'm not the most religious person, but how many signs do you need? How many times do you have to be on IR to realize, you know what, maybe this is it?
And why would you want it's such a shame because he is such a good player. He in spurts when he wasn't injured, he was probably top 5 linebacker in the league. But everybody is going to remember him as just being injured because he keeps prolonging this. He played all 16 last year. Sean should have hung it up after that, man. Like it wasn't happening again.
That's pretty much his Super Bowl. Sean Lee's Super Bowl is just playing 16 games without a concussion or a strain.
That's it. And so Sean Lee Jr. now, as we know, Leighton Vander Esch is out 6 to 8 weeks. I, again, think his career may be over. Cam Irving, the swing tackle, is out 4 to 6 weeks. There is no big names that they say they're still not bringing in. There's Earl Thomas is not on the phone. Clay Matthews is not on the phone. They're not trying to sway Delaney Walker off his brand new boat that he just bought. So they signed Alex Light, offensive tackle off the Cardinals practice squad, and Rashad Smith, linebacker off the Bears practice squad.
Yeah, I watch a lot of football, and you're stumping me, so that kind of tells you where you're at depth-wise.
And then they brought Brandon Carr officially up to the starting 53, so I could see Brandon Carr becoming a starting safety for Darian Thompson. But adding all that up together, yes, obviously the Falcons scare me offensively. I think their receivers could go for 500 yards. However, we got Jordan Lewis back. I think he's probably the second best corner in this team. So that is he battles. That's a dude you just throw out there, and he's just not going to quit. He's just going to battle all game. But what excites me is the Dallas offense against this Falcons defense. I think Zeke and these receivers, I mean, you saw what Russ did over the top against the Falcons all day. Mm-hmm. Dak has to go deep. He needs to hit Amari. He needs to hit Gallup. And here's a hot take. Gallup is the best deep threat receiver on this team. It's not Amari and it's not CD. It's Michael Gallup. So I think as long as the O-line does not give up 19 pressures, maybe they have to shuffle the line a bit, maybe put Connor Williams out at right tackle and maybe bring in Biotish, their new kid from Wisconsin, who's going to be the starting center probably next year. They still have Connor McGovern, the old Penn State boy, who's apparently a great offensive lineman, but I don't know. They're saying those two may not be ready to go. But I think the line is going to hold up. You know, they're going against Tack McKinley, not Aaron Donald this week. And the cherry on top is that AT&T Stadium will have a 25% capacity. So I think that is going to give them somewhat of an advantage, which I still think is bullshit. I agree with you.
I hate it. It's the most Texas thing ever. It's the most Jerry Jones thing ever. Like, who gives a fuck about COVID? Because we're America's team, so we're gonna make money. Who cares? Mm-hmm. It's just added to the long filing cabinet of reasons why I hate the Cowboys.
-4 against the Falcons at home. Cowboys win outright.
You're pretty confident. You know what? I'm gonna post this take for you because I heard it elsewhere and I was like, wow, you are so right. And you seem pretty confident. And this take is why I'm not so confident in them winning. It was on part of my take, and they said the Falcons are just the turbo Cowboys. Like, you look at the roster on paper and you're like, wow, this is impressive. Like, they've got some offensive firepower. Yep. Look at these receivers.
Calvin Ridley and Julio Jones. It's stupid.
Calvin Ridley, Julio Jones, great duo. Amari, CD, Michael Gallup. Michael Gallup's one of the most underrated receivers in the league. Mm-hmm. You got Zeke back there. They just added Todd Gurley. They got Hayden Hurst to replace Hooper. You look at that team on paper and you're like, wow, that is so good. And then they get out on the field and they're in a million close games and end up 5-11 or 6-10. Does it scare you a little bit that you're pretty much in the Spider-Man meme game?
Yes and no. I mean, Todd Gurley scares me because he's the Cowboy killer. I mean, every time we've played the Rams, he just destroys us. But I think Dallas knows the expectations they have and that they cannot start 0-2. And I think they're going to do everything they can to win this game at home. I think last year they averaged about 31 points at home and 20 on the road. They're just Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, always on the road compared at home. So I think they get it done this weekend.
This week, Oklahoma plays Kansas State in the Big 12. This is the NFL version of Oklahoma versus Kansas.
It's going to be a track meet.
Because it's going to end up being 35-31. You're like, wow, these defenses are not that good, but this is fun to watch.
Well, I'm just hoping that they don't do what the Rams did and try and screen us to death. I hope Matt Ryan just sits back there, because then the Hot Boys are going to do what they're supposed to do and get after the quarterback.
If DeMarcus Lawrence has 2 sacks, are you going to stop calling him Clown Lawrence?
Nope,
Or is he still Clown Lawrence?
He's Clown Lawrence.
Oh man, what if he has 3 sacks? Well, how many sacks does he have to have this week against?
If he has 3 sacks, I'll call him DeMarcus, not Tank.
Okay, what is he? How many sacks this year does he need to have for him to be Tank?
12 to 15.
12 to 15. Gotcha. All right, that's fair. I think Alden Smith has a better chance.
Oh, I agree.
You know what's hilarious? I was thinking of you because, as everyone just saw in the NBA, the Clippers went out with a whimper, and just another like Paul George just goose egg in the playoffs. And him just that playoff P thing. You were the first person I thought of because you were like, you can't be Tank Lawrence and go out there and have those performances.
You can't. One tackle.
Yeah, one he had more offsides than tackles. Yes. And I thought of you immediately with playoff P going out there laying a goose egg in game 7 against the freaking Nuggets.
Just shut up and play.
Unbelievable. Well, I'll say my final piece on the Eagles because I'm nervous and confident at the same time, which sums up the Eagles in my existence for the past 25 years. The injury report looks good. It was funny. I was driving home today from the gym. I had Future on. I'm sitting at the light.
I went to the gym.
Yeah, Dirty Sprite 2. I was listening to it. I was reading the injury report saying that Brandon Graham is getting cleared. And I was like, you know what? Things are looking up. It's been a rough 72 hours, but maybe we're going to be all right. So I hate how confident I am because that's a good Rams team. My only worry, Lane Johnson looks like he's coming back on the offensive line. We signed Jamon Brown from the Bears practice squad, which was a good get. But the classic Doug Peterson PR 101 thing, he said in his press conference, he said there were more positives than negatives for Nate Herbig at guard in Sunday's game. How anyone could have more positives than negatives after that performance blows my mind. But it would be so Eagles for them to start this guy with experience on the offensive line at guard over Herbig after Doug says that. That's my only concern. You got Aaron Donald coming in, and you don't really know who your guard is going to be going into a game against the best defensive tackle in the league.
But yet they're only going to give up 1 sack, and they're going to win the game.
Somehow, some way.
That's what I've seen this movie before.
Yeah, I want to think that. And look, I have last week, my only concern was this ferocious pass rush.
Yep, we talked about it.
My only concern is this guard situation where they have a clear mismatch. Aaron Donald has a mismatch no matter who he plays. But this week, it could be amplified by Nate Herbig. Doug Peterson, we got to get him like a PR 101 thing. You know how like Trump says just like wild shit, and just that Kaylee girl, that Kaylee McKinney girl goes on, and she's like has to go out there and like spin it and make it make sense,
and then just yell at other people.
Yeah, but she like does it in a way where she like condenses it, makes the point, makes it make sense, and like spins it on the reporter, and then the reporter's backtracking.
Yeah,
we need somebody who like does that for Doug, where they come in and he says like Nate Herbig, there were more positives than negatives, even though we gave up 8 sacks. We need someone who comes in and is like, this is what he actually meant. Like this is what he meant, and this is why we signed this guard. We don't know who the fuck's gonna play guard against.
So don't listen to anything he just said.
Yeah.
He was just trying to make his player feel good. The same way Mike McCarthy said that Jalen Smith is off to a great start to the season.
Yeah, that's yikes. Yeah. Coach.
Also, I'm going to go back to last week just one last time before we end this. How do you lose a game when your quarterback was graded out 5th best Sunday in the league and your running back graded out 1st and you lose the game?
I mean, you've seen this movie. I told you how the movie goes. You guys on paper, just the miniature version of the Falcons. It looks great on paper, and then those stats are awesome. He was 5th in what QBR,
just total everything.
Everything.
Yep.
Kudos.
Zeke was the best running back, and guess what?
Still here.
He's just taking L's. He's feeding L's.
Feeding L's. Feed me. Great tattoo.
So give me one last. I just want the number one thing you're scared of offensively from the Rams, that they're going to screen you to death, move the pocket, get the ball out fast like they did against Dallas, and try and diminish your pass rush.
The number one thing I'm scared of is the fact that the Rams have the ability to spread the Eagles out and really take shots in the air where the Sorry, Vince. That was offensive. Please bleep that out for me. Washington was not able to do that. Their drives were really like 40-yard drives.
Mm-hmm.
The Rams have Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, Tyler Higbee at tight end. They have a lot more options. This is the first game where our corners, Darius Slay, let's see you earn that money. Avonte Maddox, are you going to be a solid CB2 for us this year? This is their real first test of the year. So I don't know if I'm scared, but this is the first time we're going to say, hey, are these guys legit?
Yep.
Is this going to be something that we can continue for the rest of the season? Are they good enough to cover? Because I think if you can cover in this game, you can pretty much cover against McVay's offense, talented receivers, great offensive scheme. If you can cover in this game, you'll be all right for 16 games.
Agreed. So we both have our teams winning this week. We both have them going 1-1 into week 3. We shall see. We will be back post week 2 next week. But make sure to catch both of us on Branded Sports Radio this Saturday, 1490 Sports Betting Radio. We're going to be talking college football, NFL. We may be talking players using social media post-loss, and an awesome interview with the hardest working media man in Philadelphia, Eitan Shander. So check it out.
A lot of good content with that. Just like the Eagles, I'm confident and nervous. Confident because we have a good thing going. I'm excited for the interview with Eitan. Very nervous that I'm going to swear because I think I've sworn like 6 times in this interview without even realizing it. So in this episode, I'm sorry. I'm a little bit nervous about that part. Everything else, pretty excited, just like the Eagles. The Eagles guard situation is my swearing situation. Mm-hmm. We have one problem to worry about, and everything else, I think we're going to be all right.
Jerry, call Earl Thomas.
Be the team that you want
should I end the show like that every time? Be the team you promised me you'd be this year.
Every time until they win.
Perfect.
I think that's it then. Be that team.
KMess 22 on Twitter.